Today's narration has been derived from Jomo Kenyatta's edition titled Facing Mount Kenya. Let's get right into it. Once upon a time, an elephant made friendship with a man. Then on one day after a heavy thunderstorm broke out, the elephant went to the man who had a small hut at the edge of the forest and said to him, "My dear good man, will you please let me put my trunk inside your hut to keep it out of this heavy rain?" The man, seeing the kind of situation his friend was in, replied, "My dear good elephant, my hut is very small, but there is room for your trunk and myself. Why don't you put your trunk in gently?" The elephant thanked his friend, saying, "You have done me a good deed, and one day I shall return your kindness." But what followed instead? As soon as the elephant put his trunk inside the hut, he slowly pushed his head inside and finally threw the man out into the rain and then lay down comfortably inside the man's hut while saying, "My dear good friend, your skin is harder than mine. And since there is not enough room for both of us, you can afford to remain in the rain while I'm protecting my delicate skin from the hailstorm." Needless to say, this resulted in an argument breaking out between the two. The man, seeing what his friend had done to him, started to complain, and after the wildlife in the nearby forest heard the noise, they came to investigate and see what the matter was. They all stood around listening to the heated argument between the man and his friend the elephant. But in between the chaos, the lion came along while roaring and said in a loud voice, "Don't you all know that I am the king of the jungle? So how dare anyone disturb the peace of my kingdom?" On hearing this, the elephant, who was one of the highest ministers in the jungle kingdom, replied in a soothing voice and said, "My lord, there is no disturbance of the peace in your kingdom. I have only been having a small discussion with my friend here regarding the possession of this small hut that your lordship sees me occupying." Now, the lion, who only wanted to have peace and tranquility in his kingdom, replied in a noble voice, "I command my ministers to appoint a commission of inquiry to go thoroughly into this matter and report accordingly." He then turned to the man and said, "You have done well by establishing a friendship with my people, especially with the elephant, who is one of my most honorable ministers of the state. Anyway, do not grumble anymore, because your heart is not close to you. Wait until the sitting of my imperial commission, and there you will be given plenty of opportunities to state your case. I am also sure that you will be pleased with the findings of the commission." As expected, the man was extremely pleased by these words from the king of the jungle and innocently waited for his opportunity in belief that naturally the hut will be returned to him. The elephant, obeying the command of his master, got busy with other ministers to appoint the commission of inquiry, and here is the list of the elders of the jungle that were appointed to sit in the commission. Mr. Rhinoceros, Mr. Buffalo, Mr. Alligator, the Honorable Mr. Fox, who also acted as the chairman of the commission, and finally, Mr. Leopard, who also acted as the secretary of the commission. On seeing the personnel elected, the man protested and asked if at least one member from his side would be selected as a member of the commission, but he was told that it was impossible, since no one from his side was well educated enough to understand the complexity of jungle law. In addition to that, they assured him that there was nothing to fear, since all the members of the commission were individuals of repute for their impartiality when it came to injustice, and that they were also gentlemen chosen by God to look after the interests of races that were less adequately endowed with teeth and claws. They successfully made the man believe that he could rest assured that the commission would investigate the matter with the greatest care and report without being biased. Anyway, the commission sat to take the evidence, and Honorable Mr. Elephant was the first one to be called. He came along with a superior air, while brushing his tusk with a sapling that his wife, Mrs. Elephant, had provided, and in an authoritative voice, he said, "Gentlemen of the jungle, there is no need for me to waste your valuable time in relating to a story that I'm confident you all know everything about. I have always taken it as my duty to protect the interests of my friends, but this appears to have caused a misunderstanding between myself and my friend here. He invited me to save his hut from being blown away by a hurricane, and since the hurricane had gained access to the unoccupied space in the hut, I considered it necessary, in my friend's own interest, to turn the undeveloped space to a more economic use by sitting in it myself. I know that's a duty any of you would have undoubtedly performed with equal readiness in similar circumstances." After hearing the conclusive evidence from Honorable Mr. Elephant, the commission called Mr. Hyena and other elders of the jungle, who all supported what Mr. Elephant had said. They then called the man, but before he could give his own side of the story, the commission cut him short, saying, "Our good man, please allow us to ask you the relevant questions. We have already had the account of events from various unbiased sources. Now all we want you to tell us is whether the free space in your heart was occupied by anyone else before Mr. Elephant assumed his position. The man began to answer, no, but, and once again he was cut short by the commission. At that point, the commission went on to declare that they had had sufficient accounts from both sides, and so they retired to go and come up with a verdict. Then after enjoying a delicious meal that was prepared by Honorable Mr. Elephant, they reached their verdict, called for the man, and declared as follows. In our opinion, this dispute has arisen through a regrettable misunderstanding due to the backwardness of your ideas. We consider that Mr. Elephant has fulfilled his sacred duty of protecting your interests, as it is clearly for your own good that space should be put into its most economic use. So since you yourself have not yet reached the stage of expansion that will enable you to fill it, we consider it necessary to arrange a compromise that will suit both parties. Mr. Elephant shall continue his occupation of your heart, but we give you permission to go look for a site where you can build another heart more suited to your needs, and we will see that you are well protected. The man, having no alternative, and fearing that his refusal might expose him to the teeth and claws of the members of the commission, did as they suggested. But no sooner had he built another hut than Mr. Rhinoceros charged in with his own lord and ordered the man to get out of the space. Another royal commission was again appointed to look into the matter, and as expected, the same finding was given. This procedure was repeated until Mr. Buffalo, Mr. Leopard, Mr. Hyena, and the rest were all accommodated with new huts that the man had built. So at this point, the man decided that he was going to adopt an effective method of protection, since the commission of inquiry did not seem to be of any use to him. He then sat down and said, Nginda dhindianganga mutengi, which is a Kikuyu phrase that directly translates to, there is nothing that walks on the earth that cannot be trapped. Or in other words, you can fool people for a time, but not forever. Early one morning, when all the huts already occupied by the jungle lords were all beginning to decay and fall into pieces, the man went out and built a bigger and better hut a little distance away. Then once again, as expected, no sooner had Mr. Rhinoceros seen it that he came rushing in, only to find that Mr. Elephant was already inside, sound asleep. Mr. Leopard came in next at the window. Mr. Lion, Mr. Fox, and Mr. Buffalo entered through the door, and Mr. Hyena hauled for a place inside the shed, while Mr. Alligator burst on the roof. Now, as expected, when many members are crowded into one place, all the animals began disputing about the rights of occupation inside the hut, and a few moments later, the argument had developed into a serious fight. And while they were all gathered together inside the hut, the man set it on fire and burnt it to the ground, with all the jungle lords inside. Then he went on, saying, "Peace is costly, and sometimes it's worth the expense." The legend goes on to state the man lived happily ever after. That's it for today. If you like the content, kindly do not forget to smash the like button below. This will help the channel grow and allow me to make more videos in the future. Also, if you have a topic you think I should cover, do not hesitate to leave a comment below. Thank you, and see you again next week.